Hello everybody and welcome to yet another video on Polyglot Hacks. Today I'm going to be talking about my story about how I got into languages and my process of how I learned French. Now before I get into my story about how I got into languages and how I learned French, I want you to subscribe, like, comment and share if you enjoy the content on this channel, and I also want you to check out the link in the description for the email list that I have going on to receive free amazing content that's going to cost you this much to join. Okay, now let's get into this story. So what I'm going to say initially is that I absolutely hated learning languages when I was younger. So it all started off in about, I would say, grade 6, where it was mandatory that we took French as an English immersion program. So in every other class we spoke English, and then we had French classes to teach us the basics. So this would involve numbers, basic conjugations, basic verbs, and it was honestly really easy stuff. Then I moved on to high school. Now in high school, I don't know why, but I thought I needed French in order to get into university, so I took it, and a bunch of my friends did too. We hated it, we didn't know what was going on in the class, and honestly, I had no idea what was going on in that class. I did not pay attention, and I honestly was probably a class clown. I remember doing worksheets in French 11, and I was always asking my friends, oh, what's the answer to this question? How do I say this? What's the word for this? I had absolutely no idea what I was doing far into the class when everyone had a basic idea of how the language worked. It was super frustrating for me, and I had said never will I ever take French. Never had I ever thought that I would be minoring in French right now. That brings me to university. Now, in university, I had the idea of becoming a teacher. I needed a second teachable subject with physical education because that's my major. So I started looking at my options for what I could do for my minor. I talked to a few teachers and they kind of told me, I was actually thinking about doing history for my minor. I found it quite interesting, but a lot of teachers told me that it's very saturated and that there's a lot of professors with kinesiology, which is physical education, and history. So it would be quite difficult for me to find a job once I'm done my studies. So then I started looking into what fields were in demand at that point, and French was one of them, also home ec and a few other options. And I don't know why, but since French was the most in demand at that point, I decided I'm going to try it. Now, it didn't just start like that. I spoke to my dad about it, and I honestly told him, I was like, hey, I don't think I can do this. But he said, give it a try. If it doesn't work out, it's all good. You can always take another class and you can choose your minor for something else. Well, there I was in French 101, and my professor right in front of me teaching us how to say what the time is and what the days of the week are and basic conjugations of a few verbs. Lo and behold, after French 101 and 102, I had received an A in each class, and I was very, very happy. After performing well in these introductory courses, it really motivated me to try to learn the language more. So that summer, right after learning from French 101 and 102, I spent hours, and I mean hours a day, trying to learn French. I used to spend 5 or 6 hours. I would be watching shows on Netflix in French. I would be writing every day, like 300 words a day. I was finding groups to meet at so I could speak with native speakers in French. I was doing everything it took to learn the language. I also ended up doing a government program which basically paid for a lot of my expenses to go to Quebec and learn French for 5 weeks. It was an intensive program from Monday to Friday. We had the weekends off, but I learned a lot from that program and I made a lot of good friends. I still remember that experience till this day, and I loved it. It's a program called Explore if you want to check it out. I'll put the link in the description to their website in case you're interested. Now at this point, at the end of summer, I was very, very confident about my French. I could communicate, I could say what I say, I could express myself in a way that I was very confident and I wasn't making many mistakes, and I really just worked hard, really hard to achieve this level. And from that point, I had a few classes. I had more classes at the 200 and 300 level, which were kind of intermediate and advanced. And then from there, my French took off even more, and then here I am with this YouTube channel. So the point of this video is to show you that language learning is a tough process. It's not always easy, and honestly, you never know what you're going to end up liking until you try it. There's a lot of things that you may think that you're not going to like, but you end up liking it once you try it, and French was just one of them, and languages just became my thing after learning French. My success in French also motivated me to learn Spanish. I was actually once watching a show called Narcos, I'm sure you've heard of it, or Better Call Saul on Netflix, and I was listening to a conversation in Spanish. At that point, I started learning Spanish. And if you fast forward 8 months from then, you would be looking at me right now, right here. So I made some really good progress with Spanish, and I really enjoy learning the language, but if it wasn't for my success in French, I would have never tried learning other languages. Alright, so that's my story on how I learn languages and why I'm here, why this channel was created called Polyglot Hacks by Jeg. What's your story? Why did you start learning a language? Why are you subscribed to the channel? Why are you watching this video right now? Alright, so I hope you liked the story of how I started learning languages and learning French, and just kind of where the roots from this channel came from. I'm very appreciative and thankful for all of you that watch my videos. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and like always, holla back at your boy.